What's up, world? Lee here, coming to you with episode 9 of Sticks, Strings, and Other Things, a little area of the internet where I come to you and talk about what crafty things I have been getting myself into for the last 2 weeks. Today is, what is it? It's February 2nd. And you know what? I heard that a little weird creature, what are they called? Groundhogs. Yes, he told me today there's gonna be 6 more weeks of crafting. Isn't that delightful? All right. Anyhow, again, my name is Lee, and this is my little corner. Crafting, knitting, stitching, someday spinning again. I promise. Someday there will be spinning again. Someday. I live in the Pacific Northwest. We are having a very wet and gray, wet, rainy time right now in the Pacific Northwest, which I am fine with. It's winter in the Pacific Northwest. It should be gray and rainy, and it is, so I am happy. So, we are going to discuss what knitting and cross stitch I have been doing in the past 2 weeks. So, there's been a bit. I got my hands into several things. Oh, before I continue, since I never fully finish any of my cross stitch, and it literally lives in a drawer in my dresser that's over there, I have decided, on a whim, that each time I film I will hang up a different piece that I finished at some point. This is my crystal ball. It is an piece of art by Leighton? Frederick Leighton? I think. I love the artist and I'm blanking on his name. It was a chart by Golden Kite. I finished it a handful of years ago. And yeah, never did anything with it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But yeah, never did anything with it. I've loved researching this piece because people have learned that right here, originally, there was a skull, and they painted over it. We'll just put in a little bit more curtain there. I think it'd have been pretty cool with a skull, but it is what it is, and that's what it is like now. So yeah, it was a lovely piece. It is stitched on 18 or 20 count Aida. I honestly don't remember, in all of the DMCs that were called for, which were a lot. And a lot. So that's what's hiding behind me and living behind me. And hopefully every time I film, so every other week, I will have a slightly different one to show off, since I should really do something with them instead of just having them live inside my drawer. And I'm feeling like I am really, really right in your face. So I'm gonna just kind of do something about that. Ooh, wrong direction. Huh, that's better. Now I don't feel like I'm like about ready to jump out of the camera at you. It was a little intimidating seeing my face that big. So yeah, there we go. We're more of a socially distanced talk at this point instead of a here, let me see if I can count the pores in your cheeks. Yeah, this is better. All right, so let's start with the knitting, because I did a bit of it. Last time I was saying, let's see if I would be a liar and see what I finished with my knitting. And, well, I actually did okay. First off, we have, in finishes, of which I have 2. I finished my rug. And I would be wearing it right now, but for one thing. It's still damp. This has been blocking for over a week. Again, I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's damp and rainy up here, and this was made from bulky wool, but it's still slightly damp. I took it off the blocking mat so that I could show it off today, but yeah, it's gonna go lay back down after this, because, yeah. But yes, I have finished my rug sweater, and I am very excited. I think most of the problems with my tension did in fact block out. Hooray! I wasn't sure. There were some crazy ones. Again, I was doing this piece to try out a couple different styles of how to hold my threads for color work. I have my go-to, but it really only works for socks. And if I wanted it something else in another color work piece in a different weight, it wasn't really working for me. There we go. And so I decided bulky weight will give my hands a chance to try and learn a few different ways of holding it. And I finally settled on two-handed color work as the best way to handle my floats. I also, here are my floats. I was using the ladderback jacquard method of floats. So there you can see the ladderback jacquard method. But there's my floats, because I think floats look really, really cool. But yes, this puppy is still damp. Oh, and I still have one of my marking pins in it. Oops. Anyhow, yeah, this guy's still damp, so that is why I'm not wearing it. And yes, I was very excited about this. This was a sweater by Junko, ooh, something. It's the rug sweater. It's absolutely delightful pattern, free pattern, in fact. It is definitely poncho-y, and I am delighted with it. I knit it out of a whole lot of skeins of Wool of the Andes bulky in the colors Currant and Gosling. So there's one of them. And yeah, I still overbought. I still overbought by a bit. Because I have this, and this in the red. And here's the one skein of Gosling that I used. That's all that's left from the first skein. I thought I was gonna run out, so I had a second skein all caked up and ready to go, and for some reason I bought a third. Definitely overbought on this project. So now I have a whole lot of bulky weight, size of yarn I don't normally use, and I guess I'll be making some bulky weight hats or something. I don't know. But I did end up using a bit more of the red than I had originally thought I was going to, because yeah, the sleeves took a lot more yarn than I anticipated. I still have the needles that were in there, so I can tell you that I used a US size 9 5.5 millimeter. That's not why I left them in there. I was just lazy, but hey, my laziness worked out for us in the end today. I got to tell you what I used. The other thing that I finished is not yet washed and blocked, because I only have so much room in my house to wash and block such things as knitting, and that bulky sweater still is taking up that space. So my Dust of Snow wrap is not washed and blocked, but it is finished. Ta-da! And I am so excited. So I ended up, because I had 25 mini skeins and not 24, I have an extra row of this pattern. It did, originally it was supposed to stop here and then go straight to the end, but I had 25, so I just popped in that one, which came after each other. Wow, that was a great explanation. So you had this pattern, you had this lace pattern, then you'd have this pattern repeated, then you'd have this lace pattern, and That made a little bit more sense. Anyhow, I very much enjoy my Dust of Snow wrap. I am sad that it is not yet washed and blocked. Ooh, fluff. But a bulky weight in the Pacific Northwest takes forever to dry. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But yes, done. And my ends are actually woven in, but the way that I deal with my ends is I weave them in and I don't really trim them off. I wash and block, and after that is when I actually will trim my ends. I find that my ends behave better then, and they don't end up popping out in weird places where I don't want them to, which can happen if you block and your ends, and you've already snipped and the end kind of unweaves itself. So they are all woven in, but they're not at all trimmed. So they're just kind of all dangling there still. So there's a little bit more to do with this puppy. But yeah, it is finished and I'm very excited. So I decided, you know, what do you do when you finish a sweater? A giant sweater. Do you work on the socks that you said you were going to work on? Well, kind of. You kind of do. They're living in my Big Damn Heroes bag. You kind of do. There's a project in here. It is my Little Moments socks. I have done the toe. That's it. That's all I've got. Yeah, I've done the toe. That's it. I am working these on my 2.5 millimeter signature needles. I love signature needles. I don't have many. I have most of the sock sizes, but I love them for sock knitting, especially twisted stitches, because stiletto. Yeah, I'm having an issue right there because I don't like toe-up socks, and I did the whole thing on the DPNs, so I have something going on there, but that'll block out just fine, and I don't have it on the back, so that has something to do with my twisted stitches and pearls. So yeah, that'll block out just fine. But yeah, I like my signature needles because look at those tips. Look at those tips. Those tips make twisted stitches very easy. Makes me happy. So those are my Little Moments socks. They are knit in, I know it's a Lediman Fiber Arts color. Did I leave the tag in here? No, I didn't. Nope, I didn't. It's a Lediman Fiber Arts sock yarn in a color. I don't remember. If I feel ambitious and rambunctious and don't have to fight with my editing software too much, I will put that information in somewhere down here. But I would like to finish these socks. I have the one done, and now I have a toe done of the second one. So slowly we're working on that. So did I continue to work on that? Obviously not. So what did I do instead? I decided to cast on another sweater. Why not? I decided to, whoop, we're having knitting bags falling over. Stand back up. So I decided to cast on a, oh goodness, what's it called? No Frills sweater by, is it Petite Knits? I think it's Petite Knits. And it is currently living in my Alice in Wonderland bag. Now, I am using Hazel Knits Artisan in Ela and holding it with a skein of mohair in, what's their name? Curl Up and Dye's Goth Enough to Sack Rome colorway. So, Ela. I think it's Ela. No, I'm concerned that it's not Ela. I don't think I have the tag in here. Oh, wait. Ela. It's Hila. And this is the Mohair and Dark Enough to Sacrum. And I have so many yarns hanging out all over the place. Here I am. This is what it is working up to right now. I am, what is it, 5 rows away from splitting for the arms. So it's a raglan sweater and I am working out, just about ready to split the arms, but I have not yet because I knit on this way too much and ended up hurting my hands, having to put it away and not knit on anything for the last couple of days. In fact, the first day I couldn't even stitch on anything. So there was no knitting and no stitching for over 24 hours. Yes, it was terrible, people. I should know better. I should know better. When I used to do my little bit of knitting teaching, I would tell people, get up every hour, stretch your hands, stretch your wrists, walk around a little. Did I follow my own advice? No, of course I didn't. And so I had to put my knitting down and my stitching down. But yes, here it is, and I am absolutely loving how this is working up. I am loving, oh wow, yeah. That's showing up a little bit brighter now on the camera than it actually is, but it's showing the red a little bit better. I'm absolutely loving how this color is turning out, because this is more the true color with the black mohair held with the red. Loving it. And it's so squishy and nice. I am more or less exactly following the pattern, except I did do a folded collar instead of the called for collar. I just like folded collars better. I like the way they lay. I like the way they look. And so I did one of those instead. Other than that, I am following the instructions, just as they say in the pattern. And I'm loving it. I was really enjoying working on it, which is why I overdid it. And I was hoping that before I would get to film today, that I would have split for the arms. But yeah, I'm giving myself an extra day of not really knitting on anything to keep myself from being injured. But I'm loving this knit. It is making me very happy, and I'm going to try and put it back in the bag, for which it's kind of a little bit too small. But if I shove it in there, no, it's not working. Apologies, everyone. But the mohair fluff is getting everywhere and catching on things, and it won't let me put it in the bag, and there we go. As you can see, there's not a lot of room in that bag. But yes, I kept myself very well entertained with my knitting this past couple of weeks. I had fun. I am drinking some lovely green tea. It's really nice. I tell you what it is, but it's named after the province in China for which it's grown. And I can't pronounce that correctly. And the amount of butchering I would do of the name, don't really want to do that. But it's a good green tea. All right, so shall we move on to the cross stitch? Yes, we shall. I kind of had my hands on a lot of different cross stitch in the past 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. I just kind of bounced everywhere. When last we spoke, I had mentioned, zip, that I would be starting my Blackbird Designs We Live in Hope. And I did, which is living in my little Paris bag. I did start it on Inauguration Day. It is the only day that I've worked on it so far. And there we are. So I am using the called for colors, But, oh, 1 second. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yes. Called for colors, but it is on, don't remember the fabric. It is on Lakeside Linens River Willow in a 40 count with the called for threads. And I am very much enjoying how that is turning out. It was a lovely stitch, or it is a lovely stitch. It's not over yet. I am very much enjoying it. This is what it will look like. Oh, and it is done. So I'm just working on that section right there. But it was a very soothing stitch, and I can't wait to get back to it. No clue when I will, but I was very much enjoying it, so we'll see. I also pulled out my Sarah Totem piece, which is an, ooh, shiny, which is an Ackworth Quaker. A Quaker. Ackworth Quaker? Yes, Ackworth Quaker. Believe yourself, Lee. Every once in a while, you should believe the words that come out of your face. Occasionally, they're right. This is a chart by the Scarlet Letter. I am doing this on a piece of fabric from Vicki Clayton. And I am using Vicki Clayton's silks, a conversion that she did. This is a whip from a long time ago that I've got back to because I started stitching again. So there we are. It goes all the way down to there. And I was working down here. This was on my WhipGo board last month, I think. Yes, last month. I needed to do 4 motifs, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and have started a 6th, plus a couple letters, you know, bits and bobs. So I'm loving that. It is looking really great. And yes, obviously it is on too big of a piece of fabric. Both directions. But I wasn't sure when I started it how it would be centered. So I just leave it on. And as you can tell, but serge your ends. I don't have a serger, so I'm not going to do that. Zigzag stitch your ends. Well, the only sewing machine I've had for ages only does a straight stitch and is currently broken. So not going to do that either. Fold it over and do it. Now we'll just pull the fabric out, start stitching. Snip off the little falling apart ends when they bother you. Because why prepare your fabric for stitching? Why? That's just time away from your stitching if you prepare the fabric. Anyhow, that one is living in my bat bag. Barely living in my bat bag. What else did I work on? Yes, I worked on my Jean Reese piece from, I think it is also the Scarlet Letter. I didn't grab the pattern. And I added a handful more letters. I had been to here. This was my birthday start last year. And added some more letters. I'm really enjoying this one. It is pleasing to work on. It's very satisfying to finish each letter, and I find them fun to stitch. So I will be getting back to this one. This is on my WhipGo board a lot. I have, I don't know how many times, but I have several times stated on my WhipGo board, 1 alphabet. Finish 1 alphabet. I think like 4 of them, it might be 5. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what's on my WhipGo board. But this will get more work on it this year because I evidently have to finish 4 or 5 alphabets. There's like 20 of them and then a whole bunch of more stuff. So even finishing 5 alphabets is not going to finish the piece. But I really enjoy the piece. It is using, whoop, so sorry, rock your world there. apologies. It is being stitched on a 50 count piece of something. Let's not show you my wall there anymore. A 50 count piece of, I'm not sure what color, cream. And I am using a variegated thread from Vicki Clayton. What else have I been working on? Ah, yes, my pandemic piece. You know, Long Dog. Lots of people have been working on it, as have I. This is where I am. I am feeling pretty good. I have finished all the way through page 3 and a few other things. I have also left myself a note that this flower right here is in the wrong spot. It's really in the wrong spot. It is very much in the wrong spot, but I am not going to frog all of that. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So I just left myself a note to not count from there. Like, I fudged enough. It looks a little wonky. It's a sampler. They sometimes look a little wonky. Things kind of run into each other sometimes. It's all good. No one's gonna care. No one's gonna notice. So, yay! Big mistakes. Whatever. As long as I do not count from that spot, everything will work around. Everything else will work out around it. So, leave myself a note, because I don't expect myself to remember by the time I get back to this, even if it's just like 3 days later. Do not expect myself to remember that. So, left myself a note not to do that. And yeah, this is also on my WipGo board today for this month, and it's to finish a page. I've sort of started page 4 a little bit. So there's gonna be a lot of work on this one this month, I hope. I am using a variegated silk from Vicki Clayton and her basic black. Basic black is what I'm using on all of the animals. The variegated silk is called Inky Depths, and it's one I kind of like. The linen is a 40 count. Picture this plus in dill. I did that from memory. Ooh, go me. Yeah, feeling good. Okay, wait, is this one? Oh yes, this is on my WipGo board this month. Jane Reese is not on it WipGo this month, but it's on it multiple times. It's like, wait. The other thing that I'm going to show you for my cross stitch is on my WipGo board. But if I've just talked about... Whatever. So my second piece that was called for WipGo this month is my Visit Mordor piece. My goal is to finish a page, which is going to be very simple, as you see this little white bit right here. That's all I have to do to finish the page. So I will have that easily done in this month. Not a problem. I'm also using this piece for my semi-sane project right now. Luckily, I don't have to stick to just one piece for semi-sane. I just have to stitch a certain amount of stitches a day. Right, batteries, they run out. You think you checked them before you start filming, but evidently not today. So where was I? Oh yes, I was discussing Visit Mordor. I don't remember where I was at. It's a WipGo for this month. I need to finish a page. I'm enjoying doing it. Semi-sane is what I'm doing with it right now, where I have to do a certain number of stitches a day. I am trying to get into the habit of stitching. I feel like I'm leaning over you guys again. I'm trying to get into the habit of stitching about a half hour every morning, and then a little bit more at night. And this is the piece that I'm doing that with right now because the blocks of color are kind of nice. I'm going to run out of them and there's going to get a lot of chaos down here. But right here, it's just a lot of blocks of color. So right now I'm working on the smoke from the Mountain of Doom. Hiccup, excuse me. The mountain goes right here. Here's the smoke from it. Barad-dûr. I like Tolkien. What else? I mean, I bought every single one of the cross stitches that this person that I can't remember the name of on Etsy. She has a whole bunch of poster styles from Lord of the Rings. And I bought them all. Because I don't have enough to stitch. Yeah. Anyone who believes that is not a stitcher. Just saying. I don't think there's a cross stitcher out there that thinks they have enough to stitch. And if there is, I've not met one. So if you are one, I'd love to meet you, because that would be neat. I'd like to chat with you. I'd like to learn your secrets, your ways. Is it an exclusive club that's difficult to get into? What are the rules? Kind of interested. Send me your newsletter. Anyhow, that is all my stitching. Obviously, no finishes in the stitching because I don't use small pieces. I don't know what a small piece is. Oh my gosh. I really should work on some of my smalls. I do have a couple on my WipGo board, so as they come up, I'll work on them. I'm really enjoying the WipGo board. It's kind of encouraging me to work on different things instead of just my scattershot approach that I have been doing. It's refreshing and nice, and I like it. So yeah, that is all of my knitting finishes and whips, and all of my cross stitch whips, no finishes, and no fully finishes either. We've discussed that several times. So, plans. That's what we're up to. We are up to plans. What are my knitting plans? My knitting plans are to give my hands about one more day off. They're okay now. They don't hurt at all. Everything's fine. But I'm going to give them another day just to make sure. And then I plan to get back to my no-frills sweater and at least get to the sleeve separation. And a couple of rows past that because I hate stopping exactly at the sleeve separation because everything's all wonky where you do the separation part. So do that, get at least to there. And maybe restart my Oslo hat. I did. It's living in my it's too peoply out. Remember when it was too people? I mean, it is still too peoply out. There's a pandemic and people are doing things outside in groups and they shouldn't be. This was my Oslo hat that I had to pull out because it didn't fit. Didn't fit at all. So it's in a Shibui in their mineral colorway, and I forget what the other one is. I ripped it all the way out though. It's all ripped out. Ripping out mohair is so fun. It actually wasn't too bad, but it was not fun. I'm thinking I figured out what my problem was. So when you knit this, partway through the brim, or shortly thereafter, you change needle sizes to a bigger needle size so that it stretches over your head. And I don't think I did that. All I know is it really didn't fit. I've knit one of these before. I knit it using a fingering held with a mohair. I knit it using the called for needles. It fits great. So I thought doing it again would fit, and it didn't. So I still need to figure out what the heck. I mean, okay, I mean, I did knit a lot of this during, there might have been some tension issues on my half, not the needles. Anyhow, I did rip that all apart, so maybe my plan will be to get that back on the needles because I really do want that hat. I think it'll be really lovely. And then maybe when I take my walk in the morning, I remember a hat. I have several lovely hand knit hats. Lovely things, nice and snuggly and warm. And did I take one this morning? No. Did I freeze my butt off on my walk? Yes. It's so bad that when I got home, puttering around the house, doing all these other things, my husband comes upstairs and he's like, "It's really cold." Oh, is it? Did we not turn the heat on? Oh no, we hadn't turned the heat on. Anyhow, that is another knitting plan, is to restart that hat, get farther on my Little Moments socks, and I think it's this Thursday, so I'm planning on uploading this for tomorrow, Wednesday, because that's the day that I like to do this, but I'm filming on Tuesday because giving myself an extra bit of time to get all the editing and uploading was kind of nice last time. So I'm trying it again and seeing if I really like it that way. If so, I'll film on Tuesdays and upload on Wednesdays, and life will be great. And you guys don't care about that. You don't care what day I film. It doesn't matter. Whatever. It'll be up on Wednesdays. That's all that matters, right? Anyway, what was I saying? I derailed my own brain there. Right, the thing I was going to start on Thursday. There is, what's her name? Wow, yeah, it's gone. She does a mystery sock club every year. One sock comes out like every other month or every month, I forget how often they come out. But the first one is released tomorrow, and I like Curious Handmaids. That's the name. She makes some lovely socks. I'm really bad at actually stitching them. I'm really bad at knitting them up. I love them. I have several in my queue. I have yarns picked out for several of them, but I don't actually stitch on them. I do have a bag all set up and ready for, oops, not the right bag. This is a different bag. Oh, there's the bag I have set up and ready. This is a different sock project that is unfinished. I thought I had all of those pulled out already and that I was getting ready to work on them, but I think I forgot to put this where it belongs. I'm going to toss that over there so that it can go live where it should live. I've finished one sock. I haven't started the second. Bad. This is the bag that it is living in. So I am going to be doing that sock out of this color, which is a Hazel Knits green. Hazel Knits Artisan. Hazel Knits is the dyer, Artisan is the sock base name. It is her, what is the base? I have tons of it. Yeah, so 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. It's a 90-10, and I love it. I love her Artisan base. Her Artisan sock base, to be precise. I don't remember what this colorway is. Lizard? No, that doesn't sound right. And I don't have it. But I'm all set up for it on Thursday for that sock to drop, and I'm really excited to start it because I'm determined to actually start and finish some of her socks this year. I was going to start doing one from last year's sock selection, sock group, sock bundle, but then she released a new one and I bought it because I like her stuff and I'm curious to see if this will be the right color for whatever sock it is. In other knitting news, plan-wise, I have signed up for another year of Sock Madness. Oh yes, I have, and I am excited about it. So, if you're new here and considering this is what episode 9. All of you are new here. If you do not know what sock madness is, let me explain. It's crazy. It's insane. It is an international speed sock knitting competition. Yes, folks, you heard me right. International speed sock knitting competition. And I have been doing it for the last handful of years. I did poorly last year because it starts in March. It's Sock Madness. It starts in March. And that's when the pandemic started and I lost my job and everything like that. And everything was just way too stressful for me to deal with anything. And so I kind of failed it. Wah wah. Very sad. But handful of years before that, I was doing great. Fantastic. So let me explain Sock Madness quickly. It's a group on Ravelry. You sign up. You say, hey, I'd like to join. Sign-ups are going on now. I've already signed up. I'm excited. 2 warm-up patterns have already come out. Am I going to do either one of them? No, they're both shorty socks and I don't want to deal. I mean, yes, super easy to extend a shorty sock. Super easy. Don't want to deal with doing it? No. And I want to knit this sock. And all the other things. So, what'll happen? You know, you take mohair out of a bag and you throw it around the room. And then you have little mohair bits floating through the air. And they stick on your nose. Do they stick anywhere? Well, yeah, they're eyes. Eyes and noses. It's like mohair has a magnetic quality to those areas of the face. And it just, there it goes. Just to say, I've got mohair on my nose and it's very itchy. Apologies. Back to Sock Madness. Yeah, so you sign up. And the beginning of March, on the 1st, they will release a pattern for socks. You have 2 weeks to stitch said pair of socks. There are strict rules. You have to knit it to a 9-inch minimum of a 9-inch foot length. That is an average US size 7 women's shoe size, which, lucky me, is my shoe size. So they work out well for me. You can knit them longer, but you can't knit them shorter. You can always do more work, you can't do less. But you have to follow the patterns exactly. So if it says you have to do a 3x1 rib, you do a 3x1 rib. You don't go, I hate 3x1 ribs, so I'm going to do a 2x2. You can't. You gotta knit them exactly. So you have 2 weeks to finish a pair of socks. And then you turn them in and you take pictures, and there's specific pictures you have to take on feet, adult feet. If you don't do them on adult feet, you measure them. There's still lots of rules. It's all written down. Their rules. They have great rules. Read it. Fantastic. So 2 weeks, you get your 2 socks in, you send it in, and then they divide you all into teams. I have always been in Team A. Yes, always. Every single year that I have qualified, which is every year I've tried, I've been in Team A. Team A is the slowest team because I'm not a fast knitter. It's fine. But there are multiple teams, and then there's that team. That team is filled with people who sneeze socks. I'm not kidding. These people can finish complicated, mind-bogglingly difficult pairs of socks before I've finished a cuff. It's insane. I don't know how they do it. It's fabulous, and I love them. And they are so willing to help people out when you have questions. It's fantastic. Anyway, they sneeze socks. I am never going to be near that team because I am not that fast of a knitter, which is fine. Well, this is a speed sock knitting competition. It's also just fun. I know someone on that team is going to win the entire competition. They always do. It's fine. Actually, I think they always do. This is the 15th year they've done it, and I don't know if that's true. So I should keep my lying mouth shut on that because I don't know if it's true. But it seems like they always win, which, considering they're the fastest team, that's how it works. But yes, you get divided up into teams that are about as fast as you knit, give or take. And then other socks will be released, round 1 through 7. And you have time to knit the sock exactly as designed. Some of them are easier at the beginning, moving harder. But that's not true for everyone. Like some years it's like, oh look, it's the second round and all of a sudden we're doing color work, because for some people color work is simple and people are like, yay, no it's not. Or yikes, cables, yay. No, give me cables any day of the week and I'm happy for them. I don't find them difficult at all. Other people are like, I can't wrap my brain around cables. So and difficulty is kind of subjective, but you don't know what the socks are going to look like before the pattern comes out. They're new patterns, and they're free if you qualify for Sock Madness. The other great thing is you can qualify for the cheerleader team. All you have to do is finish one sock in the 2-week period, and you qualify for the cheerleader team, which means you gave it your best effort, but you can't quite knit a pair of socks in 2 weeks. Not everybody can. Come on. You still get to enjoy all the socks and all the camaraderie, and it's really, really fun. But to get back to the teams, let's say there's 25 people on a team. I have no clue how many people are going to be on a team this year. But let's say round 1 there's 25. And they say, 20 people get to pass on to round 2 as part of the team. So, in the 2-week window they give you, I think the later socks, it's a 10-day window. Yeah, the socks get harder and the lower the time you can get them done in. Speed. Sock knitting competition, guys. Speed. You try and be one of those people, and then you move on to the next round. If you do not, then, if you don't succeed to get on to the next round, well, you can still hang out in your team chat area. On Ravelry, there's little group rooms that you can, threads that you have as team threads, and you can just still hang out there and chat with your team members and have fun and still knit the socks and be on the cheerleader team. Cheerleaders don't have to knit the socks to standard, to the rules. They can do their own thing. Some people much prefer that. I kind of like being told, hey, you have to knit the sock exactly the way it says, because there's some weird stuff that they do. I wish I had some of the socks there. If I was smart, I would have done that. But if you're curious, you can go to Ravelry, and my username is Kjellrein. I'll write it down here somewhere because spelling. And you can see all the Sock Madness socks that I have knit in the past, and they are delightful and they are fun, and I have signed up for another year. So there's going to be a lot more knitting in my future than stitching. If that's a problem for you, the stitching will still be there. I'm still going to do that. In fact, when I'm not knitting, I'll be stitching, and sometimes I'll do that just to relax my hands. But I'm looking forward to another year of Sock Madness. I have never won. I've never been last on my team, because eventually you get to round 7 where it's one person from every single team, and they compete to see who wins. It's crazy. It's fun. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you are a sock knitter, you should try it out. It's really fun. It is an enjoyable thing. So you'll be seeing some funky socks. You'll be seeing me tearing my hair out with some of those socks, but I love them. They're so fun. They have stretched my abilities in knitting fantastically. That's why I originally joined, was because a lot of the time I will look at a pattern and I will go, I can't do that. Nope. That is way beyond my skills. So I joined Sock Madness, and it was like, oh no, I don't think I can do that. But you have all of these really amazing knitters there. And if you have a question, they're all working on the same sock. The person who designed the sock is on the message board, willing and able to answer questions for you. So when you come up to a thing, you're like, hey, how do you do a Latvian braid? What? How do you, but they're like, well, here's these tutorials. Yeah, I looked at all those tutorials that were in the pattern, but all I've done is make knots and craziness. Yes, they've had light yarn braids before, and that's how I felt. And then somebody goes, oh, well, here, why don't you try this? Or how about you do this? Or here's how I hold my yarn. And you have all of these people who are helping and trying to make you successful and expand your abilities. And it's such a beautiful community because all of these knitters, all of these people are like, here, let me help. It's wonderful. And yeah, it's a competition too, but it's like a competition between friends. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's delightful. I need to see if I have enough beads. I think they've already released the yarns and supplies that you'll need. It's like sock A, sock B, sock C. They're not going to come out in that order, but they'll be like, hey, 2 days before the, you have 48 hours before the pattern will release. Maximum of 48 hours before the pattern will release. These are the supplies you need. Go. Sometime between now and 48 hours, the pattern will drop and you need to be knitting. And some of them call for beads. I actually really enjoy beaded socks. So, I need to make sure I have the beads. I think there's some in there. Anyway, I will figure that out later. Those are my knitting plans though. As you can tell, I'm very excited about the sock knitting. Stitching plans, I kind of covered that while I was talking about the stitching. I'm going to be working more on my Mordor piece. I half the time call it Moria, and I don't know why. Well, because it starts with an M. It's Mordor, and if I called it Moria earlier, I apologize. Khazad-dûm is not Mordor. My Mordor piece, I will be working on that a bit more, and I will be working on Pandemic more. Those will be the two focus pieces I have this month, as they are the ones on my Whip Go board. And while I know I don't have to finish that square during that month, I have like 3 or 4 pages for Pandemic on my Whip Go board. So I'm going to try when it's one of those to get to that point, that I get a page done in a month. So that I don't fall horribly behind. And also, like I said earlier, it helps me focus on a couple of things so that I can do some productive stitching during the month instead of the scattershot thing that I have been doing. Anyhow, those are my plans. Now, shall we get to a haul, stash? Yarn people usually call it stash. Knitters call it, or knitters stash, cross stitch haul. Haul sounds weird to me. I don't know why. When it's like, oh, let me bring out my haul. I'm like, do you have a truck loader or something? Like, is it beep, 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 beep? I don't know. I'm crazy today. Trying not, I used that word a lot. I think it was last episode, and I'm trying not to use it, and I need to stop using it. So apologies. I'm a little off today. Anyhow, let's get to stash. I have a bit more than I would have anticipated because some things came in that I bought a while ago and some things came in that, like by a while ago, I mean like October, a while ago. Yay! Supply chains and then other things going on. So the first thing I bought is actually an old thing. It is issue 6 of Laine magazine. I have been looking for issue 6 for over a year. It is sold out everywhere that I can find it. And Laine magazine does beautiful things. But I could not find issue 6. And then there is a company, a small store up in Prince Edward Island, Canada. They dye yarn as well. Fleece and fiber? Fleece and Harmony. That's their name. Fleece and Harmony. They have sheep and spin and dye their own wool, and they are delightful. They have a podcast. They're amusing. But they also have a little yarn store attached to their business, their mill and their home. And I watched their podcast, and they had been talking about how Lane Magazine came out with issue 10, and they had stopped producing magazines for a little bit, and now they've started again. And I went, oh, let me go take a look at that on their website. And in looking, I saw that they had issue 6. So I jumped on that in a heartbeat. And they accidentally sent me issue 10. Which made sense, because, I mean, that was the new one that just came out. And they were really, really, hey, Lane Magazine, of course. I'll just pop this one in the mail. And it's shipping from Canada, so it didn't exactly arrive quickly nor cheaply. So I'm like, yay, my issue 6 arrived. I've been waiting this for a year. Easily over a year. I've been looking, trying to find issue 6. And I opened this, and I was like, shit. This is bad. And so I contacted them, and I'm like, you sent me the wrong one. How can I get this back to you? Because these are not inexpensive magazines. They are books. They are not cheap. And they were all, just keep it, because shipping it back is more expensive than us just writing it off, which made me feel terrible, because they are a small business. I mean, small business. It's 2 sisters and one of their husbands running a sheep farm and woolen mill and yarn store. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So I kind of feel guilty that I have this. It's delightful and I love it. I mean, Lane Magazine is beautiful. If you've never seen Lane Magazine, well, let me just show you the photos. They're gorgeous. And they do beautiful, beautiful patterns. But this was not the one I wanted. Though there's things in it that I will enjoy. And so I had to keep it. And they were like, we are so sorry. We will send you the correct one. Stuff happens. I get it. I just wish I could have sent the wrong one back. Anyhow, I got my Lane 6. And it took forever to get here. And I will show you, it'll take me a minute, the piece that I want to make that I've only been able to find in this magazine. I don't see that it has been released anywhere else, which is why I needed this magazine. The Soda. This cardigan. I love this gorgeous, cabled, oversized beauty. And I needed it. And I have been looking for it, like I said, for over a year, for this issue, whatever you want to call it, of Lane Magazine. And I finally have it. Now I just need to work up the courage to buy some really nice, I think it's DK weight yarn, so that I can eventually stitch this. And I want it in a nice squishy yarn. Anyhow, that finally showed up and I am super excited. Anyway, there are some weird noises going on in the house. I don't quite know what's going on. So if you see me kind of going, it's because there were weird noises. So I got some thread. Let me grab it. I bought some thread. I bought it last year. It was a pre-order, so I knew that it was not going to ship until January. So the fact that it did not ship until January was perfectly fine. That was as anticipated. It is silks dyed by Bestitch Me, and they are yarns. They are silks that she dyed for the Linen and Threads mystery sampler that they have out this year. Linen and Threads? I don't remember. Anyway, it's a fascinating looking mystery stitch along that I am intrigued by, and I loved the idea of the colors. And so there's two rings of the same colors. But look at those colors. Look at those colors. They're so pretty. It's just, I love this one, which is named Historic. Absolutely love that color. It is just such a gorgeous purple. So I have all these lovelies to start that, and she popped in some freebies, which has this lovely brick color. Love brick. It's a lovely brick color. It's actually called brick. And I don't know if I'd read that it was called brick or if I just called it a brick color. Yeah. Those showed up, which means eventually I will start this stitch along, which so far is actually the next piece for February would have come out. I don't think I've seen it, but January it was just all the borders, and I still haven't decided if I want my borders to be the black or the dark blue, and I'm really thinking I want the borders to be the dark blue, but I have yet to decide, which, I mean, I'm so far behind it doesn't really matter. And then I got some yarn. I got my January McMullen Fiber Company Fiber Gallery yarn. It was based on this lovely piece. I really have been enjoying I enjoyed last year the McMullen Musita Orsay yarn club that I was in, and then they sent me a really, really good coupon for being in it to join their next art-based fiber club. There was a literature one too, but I didn't need that many yarn clubs, so I just did the art one. And this is the yarn that is based on said painting. I mean, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! I mean, you can totally see that this was based on that painting. Anyway, it's absolutely beautiful. Whirlorama is what it's called, because that would be the name of the painting. And it is their Sublime 100% Superwash Merino single ply. So this will head up into my single ply bin yarn cubby thing, because I don't want to accidentally grab a single ply when I'm making socks. But they are fantastic for other things like shawls. So that showed up, absolutely loving it. And February's Sock Squad from Farmer's Daughter showed up. It's February now. These show up pretty early. It's February now. So I'm going to show it off. It's called The Test of Time. T-H-Y-M-E. But it is a scrummy green and comes with a lovely little mini. And I could see using this in the Curious Handmaids sock patterns for this year. They're based on foresty stuff this year. Oh yeah, she always has a theme. Last year it was like cloudy stuff, so you had atmosphere and cirrus clouds and things like that, and this year it's all foresty. So I think that could be a really fun color for her, for one of her socks. But it is a very scrummy green, and it is on their Bear Paw sock base. Yes, I'm patting it because it's 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon, and I love yak sock yarn. I love sock yarns that have yak in it because it's just squishy and soft without being weak. And you only have 20% in there, so it's not like it's tons of it, but it changes the merino. It changes it a bit, and it makes it nice and squishy. So I got that. And then Hazel Knits. I've been trying not to look at her website because I really love her colors, and I have way too many. I mean, everything in this bin here is Hazel Knits. I have some up there. I have some. I love her colors. They're delightful. And she's local. She's in Seattle. So I feel better using her yarns. She had a new base. Well, it was new to me because I haven't been looking at her website. I use her Artisan sock yarn base, and it is a slightly thick fingering weight, as in it's a very heavy fingering weight. It borders on sport, but isn't sport. But I like it, and it makes from good socks. Well, now she has a fingering weight yarn. So I got two colors. I got Sapphire and Ela, because I really love that red. So yes, this is the same color that I am using in my no frills sweater. So those are the two colors I got in her new sock base, which is new to me sock base, which is her Blueprint fingering weight. And here, let me grab one of her Artisan. So see, you can tell there's the Artisan sock base is noticeably thicker, but not quite fingering weight still, but not quite moving up to Artisan. Artisan, sport. Artisan is the fingering weight base. So let's just pop those two back in the cubby again. So I had to get those. Look at this. I mean, look at this blue. Isn't that just a gorgeous? Oh, it is a lovely. And these two actually really go nicely together. That was not my intent, but I mean, look at that. That's pretty nice. Those could go lovely together. And she always pops in a little sample. This one's in her Artisan, and it's called Good Vibrations. It's a pretty purple. So sometimes it'll be a different weight. Sometimes it'll be it's always a different color. And just got a little sample to show you what you like. So show you what else she has, so you can find other things that you like. Because, you know, we all need help finding other things that we like when we're shopping. Yeah. Two more things from my stash. For my stash. All my yarn just fell down. All of it. There. I don't even remember when I bought this. I don't remember. I was part of Knit Stars 5 this year. And so I bought some Magpie Nest Sport in this lovely marled color. I have 4 of these. I'm hoping that will be enough to do a cropped sweater. It has 350 yards. I have 4. So I'm hoping I have enough to do a cropped sweater. It is a 100% non-superwash Corriedale, and it's just squish. It feels so nice. It's just lovely, and I'm loving the marling. So I have 4 of those. Super hoping 4 is enough, and I didn't need to get 5. It was not cheap. And then I bought a Lola Bean Yarn Company in Canary Bean in the color Autumn Breeze. And it's a fingering weight, 100% superwash merino. Oh, sorry, it's a sport weight too. Yeah, that's still not quite sport. It's a close call though. I'm sorry, this is a sport weight. I thought it was a fingering weight. But no, that's definitely a sport weight with 328 yards to 100 grams. That is a sport weight. Well, maybe I'll make myself a pair of sport weight socks out of this. But I liked the speckling on it. It was kind of fun. I'm not a huge yellowy person, but this is a nice goldy color. And it's nice and squish. Oh, but it's 100% superwash. So if I use it for socks, the odds of it getting worn is good. Oh. I had a reason for buying this, and I don't remember what it was now. Well, maybe I will make something delightful with it and hand it to one of my friends who can wear it like up next to their face, because I don't think I really can. I don't think that's a good color for me. No, don't think it's a good color for me. But maybe I'll make a little cowl or a bandana shawl type thing and give it to someone who can pull off that color. Because I like the color. Anyway, that. And then in a fit of madness, maybe because of Sock Madness, I don't know, I bought some Hiya Hiya flyers. Now, I tried the Addi Flexi Flips when I was working at the yarn store, and I hated them. Hated them. But I wasn't sure if that's because I hate Addis, or if it's because I hate this way of knitting socks. But yes, I bought some Addi flyers. And, not Addi flyers, oh my god. Hiya Hiya flyers, not Addi Flexi Flips. And they're the 3 needles with the bendy bits in the middle. And so it's like a cross between using DPNs and using Magic Loop. So I will give these a go during Sock Madness. But they're my sharps. I love my Hiya Hiya sharps. If it wants to focus, if it does. There we go, it's a little bit. They're nice and sharp at the end. And I like that. And the Addi Flexi Flips are sharp on one end and dull on the other, and it seemed like I always had the wrong one. They were very frustrating to me and I didn't like them. So I'm going to give these a try. And I meant to only buy one set, just in case I hated them. I evidently bought 2 in the same size. Who knows? Well, I can do the socks 2 at a time now. I don't know. Anyhow, that's all that. Now on to what have I been doing? Nothing. Nothing. I've been knitting a lot. I've been stitching a lot. I've been watching a lot of YouTube. Yeah, wow. It was full. The card was full. I still had stuff from Vlogmas on there because evidently I don't delete things. Oh well. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying something about what have I been doing, which is not much. I have been knitting and I have been stitching. And that's pretty much it. And when I wasn't doing either one of those, I was reading. What was I reading? The Expanse books. Because why not? They're fluff. They're easy. I'm really tired of Holden, though. My God. That man is a self-righteous, arrogant, egotistical man-bane boy. Driving me crazy. Cannot stand him. I'm liking the other people well enough, though. I have not watched the Netflix show because it's based on books. You read the books first. This is just what you do. Unless you didn't know about the book, in which case I forgive you. And then you read the book. So yeah, I've been reading the Expanse books and enjoying them well enough. They're easy, nice, fun fluff. Yeah, you know, aliens coming to kill us all, or not kill us all, or whatever. Humans being humans and being horrible to each other, basically. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. Other than that, there's a pandemic still going on. More of my friends are getting the immunization shot, so yay! Can't wait till I can get my shot. Soon, I hope. My mom has scheduled hers at the end of March, so hopefully that can get moved up. And yeah, that's it. There's nothing going on in this life. It's very, very boring. I sit, I knit, I stitch, I watch YouTube. Lots of wonderful YouTubers. Thank you. You guys are keeping me company quite well, which is why I started this, because maybe I can keep some of you company. Yeah, and then I read and drink way too much tea. I take that back. There's no such thing as way too much tea. That's impossible. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Kind of boring. I am going to brag about my necklace, though. I mean, go big or go home, right? Well, wait. I am home. Aren't we all? I love this thing. I have two versions of it, sort of. It's a similar style of two very different things. This one, which is Henry VIII and his wives with his daughters. And my other one is, well, Alice in Wonderland. Maybe I'll wear it another time. But in case I haven't shown this off before. Look at that. Isn't that fun? You got Henry, and then you bounce out with his wives. So what? There's Catherine, and Anne, and Jane, the one who lived, another Catherine, and another He married a lot of Catherines. I named all after her. Yoink. Yeah, asshole. Horrible, evil asshole. What does it go? Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. I know my history. And then we have Elizabeth and Mary. Or is it the other way around? I can't see. Oh, I'm way too close. Anyway, I'm a fan of Tudor era England. I find it interesting. He was a jerk, but he did a lot of history. And sometimes that's interesting, that the jerks sometimes make great history. Oh, I wish I lived in a boring time. If time travel were possible, do you want to know where I'd want to live and go to? Those areas in history class that they're like, and 100 years passed with nothing happening. Can I go there, please? No pandemics, no wars, or, minor wars that just were continuing, or horrible disasters. And people lived their lives and everything was fine. Nothing major happened. I want to live there. That's what I want. So I would not have wanted to live in Tudor times. A lot was happening during that time, and I wouldn't. Fun to read about. Interesting. Jerks. Not really much better, but I mean, they weren't. But fascinating. And they, I got Shakespeare because of them. I mean, because of the times. What else? Anyway, I decided to go with a bold necklace choice today and not wear any knitwear because it's still wet. So, yeah, I'm going to go lay this back out again so that it can at some point eventually dry so that I can wash and block this bad boy. Wash and block this one. And maybe next time I come to you in 2 weeks, maybe I'll be wearing one of them because they'll have been blocked and dry. Maybe. I cannot believe this thing is still wet. It has literally been drying for over a week. Still damp. Crazy. So I'm going to go do that and edit and all of that fun stuff. And for now, I am going to say thank you so much for spending, God only knows how much time I've babbled at you. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions or, hey, I like the tea you drank. Green tea is great. Woo! Just comment below, like, subscribe, do all the things. I'm so happy that you're here. If you are new, thank you so much. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I really do appreciate it. I am finding these vlog things, podcast things, ThoughtTube, whatever it's called. Depends on where you're at in the internet, what you call it. I don't know why they're called podcasts, because anyway, that's a whole different discussion. I'm enjoying doing them. I'm finding them interesting, and they keep me motivated to bring finished or worked on pieces. So yay, that's a plus for me. And yeah, so I'm gonna go. I hope all of you have had a wonderful couple of weeks. I hope you continue to have a wonderful couple of weeks, and have a moment to sit down, get yourself relaxed, a moment with your stitching or your knitting or your crocheting or your spinning or your sewing or your crafting or whatever you're doing, or a book, whatever you do when you're watching these. I mean, if you can read and watch YouTube, more power to you. It'd be too many words in my head. But I hope you have a moment to do all of that. Have yourself a nice tasty drink, be it water, coffee, tea, something more adult, whatever you enjoy. I hope you have a moment, hopefully every day, to take a few moments for yourself. And until next time, in 2 weeks, I hope all of you stay safe, happy, and healthy. Bye-bye.